Hey guys, EthDo here, and today I'm back with an all new video. And in today's video, we'll be looking at update 1.0, which has recently been added to Minecraft Pocket Edition and Windows 10. Now this is a great update, probably the best that Minecraft Pocket Edition has seen. It's the biggest update yet, as we now finally have the end dimension, and that of course adds an end to the game, which is always a good feature. We have the Ender Dragon, we have 3 other new mobs, plenty of blocks and items, all of which great features. Now some updates, there's some good features here and there, but this one is filled with them. Lots of great features, so let's jump straight in with the first crafting recipe. Now this is the Eye of Ender, and it's probably the most important recipe you'll need to remember today. Now assuming this is a 3x3 9-grid crafting table, just put 1 Ender Pearl in and 1 Blaze Powder, and you'll get an Eye of Ender. Blaze Powder of course being from Blaze Rods, and you can use them to find strongholds. You throw them in the air and they'll direct you to a stronghold. And then you can fill out the end portal frame with those Eyes of Ender. You'll need a maximum of 9 to fill out the frame, and that will allow you to enter the portal to enter this end dimension. So it's a really important feature because without crafting those, you can't actually get to the rest of this goodness. Another use that you have for the Eyes of Ender is you can make end crystals. Now typically end crystals regenerate the Ender Dragon. They're found atop these pillars. But there is actually a second feature for them. Now this has only just been added to PC as well in update 1.10. Might have been 1.9, one of the two, but very recently. And what that does is it allows you to regenerate or recreate the Ender Dragon. So respawn them in. You'll need 4 of these, and you'll need to position them around your end portal frame. So you'd have like 1 here, 1 over there, 1 over there, and 1 just up on here. And then I do have a separate video that will explain that in better for you. But that allows you to completely respawn the Ender Dragon for a second bout of battling. Now this doesn't actually receive as much XP when you beat him the second time. It's just a way of challenging yourself. You do still get a fair bit of XP, but it's not the same as when you beat him the first time round. So do take that into consideration. Another feature we have here that you can use the Eye of Ender for is the Ender Chest. Now this one is a really good feature, probably one of my favourite in the whole of Minecraft because it's so useful. Basically, if you fill out obsidian around an Eye of Ender, you will get a variant of the chest. Now, typically, you use a chest to, put 1 or 2 items in or whatever. You just fill them out. But this one is very special because when you put an item into these chests, you'll find that they actually teleport to another Ender chest. So you'll need to make 2 of these. And when you move them across, you see that I've moved one, I've not taken it out. I go back to here, and it's gone. Effectively, 2 chests turned into 1. What goes in there comes out in here and vice versa. Now this has a lot of different uses. Say you've gone to the Nether and you've gotten hopelessly lost. You're not going to be able to find your way back to the Nether portal, but you've got a lot of good loot. Maybe some Wither Skeleton skulls, maybe just some Blaze Rods, but you don't want to lose your items. So what you can do, providing you have an Ender chest back home, you can dump your items into an Ender chest, and then that way, even if you don't make it home, when you respawn, you'll find your items are waiting for you back there. It's really useful like that. Again, if you're going to the end dimension and you find yourself in a spot of bother, the Ender Dragon's about to screw you up a bit, you can make sure you don't lose your items by sending them back home. Again, if you're playing co-op, some other uses there. You can transfer items between one another. Just a really useful one. It's one that you realise how useful it is the more you get into it. Now here's a crafting recipe with a little bit of an odd twist, as it doesn't actually work. Mojang intended to release stained glass planes and stained glass into this update. So these should be red by adding rose red into a crafting table surrounded by glass, and you could use those tinted glass blocks to create panes with the colour of your choice. Rose red would obviously have given me red. If you use different dyes, so lapis lazuli, you'd get a blue one, etc, etc. But unfortunately, there is an error. There's a texture error and rendering issue according to the wiki, and that basically means you can't do this crafting at the moment. I doubt it will stay this way for very long, so it's worth trying unless you're watching this video as soon as it comes out. It should be fixed. I really do doubt Mojang will leave it like this, because it's not something they typically do, and they did definitely want to roll this out in this update. It's part of the changelog, so it's very surprising that it's not quite working as planned, but hopefully that will be fixed very soon. They are by no means the only blocks added to this update though. We also have we have the End Stone. Now this makes up the End Dimension. It's the general terrain, so it's your It's the equivalent of soil in the overworld, or grass in the overworld, or netherrack in the nether. And what this does is, other than looking pretty cool, it can also be made into endstone bricks, which is just a fancier version if you want to build a house. But what's really important about this endstone is that it's very blast resistant. Oh, hello, Enderman. It's very blast resistant, so if you're building a house, especially on realms or some kind of server, you don't want your house being blown up by either griefers or creepers. Regardless of whichever it is trying to blow up your house, that is very blast resistant. Encase your chest in that if you really want to keep them nice and safe. Now here are some more blocks and features as well. There's quite a lot of blocks in this update. So here we've got chorus fruit and popped chorus fruit. Now you need to use a furnace to get popped chorus fruit, and that has its own crafting recipes. But there's also just regular chorus fruit, which actually has some really quite a unique feature. It's actually a food item, and when you eat it, it will actually teleport you. So as you can see, I was over there and I ate the fruit and I teleported. It's a bit of an odd feature. I still don't really get it because it's been in PC since 1.9 and I'm yet to use it in survival. It's a unique feature. Definitely effort there in making an interesting addition. I can't say it's all that useful, but it's kind of cool. Maybe you're playing realms and you're under attack. You can use that to teleport out of a battle. It doesn't take you very far. I think it's probably about a 10 block radius that you can be teleported into. That's why I went over there, not to avoid getting into that pool. I didn't want to fall in there. But you know, it's not a hell of a lot of a useful item, but I'm sure you can find a good use for it. So as I was saying, if you do smelt this instead, you get popped chorus fruit. And this is used in multiple recipes. Popped chorus fruit in a crafting table style 4 block orientation will give you 4 purple blocks. These are basically just purple blocks. And they're actually made in end cities, which we'll be looking at later. And once you have those, you can make them into slabs, or you can make staircases, or using the slabs, you can make some purple pillars, which are just a slight variant on the regular block. Another feature you could implement would be to use blaze rods with your popped chorus fruit to give you these end rods. Now these basically, they're light emitting items, and what's really cool, what's a really good addition here, is that you can actually place these on the side. So you can place them like this, there we go. And the reason that is, it's really good for parkour. Great addition for parkour, especially on servers. People have made some pretty great features on the PC so far using these. Didn't mean to break that, wrong button. Well, we all make mistakes. But it's a great feature because it really adds a new dimension to parkour. People have made some great maps, some really challenging maps so far. I'm sure they'll be the same on Pocket Edition. Moving on, we do actually have 4 new mobs which we'll be taking a great look at in a moment, a really in-depth look, as well as the generator structures that they actually form in. But let's have a quick overview of the Shulker, just because this is the only mob that's been added that adds a unique mob drop. So we'll have a quick look at this before we look onto the mobs. Now the Shulker shell is what it drops, and although on PC you can use these using a chest, using this recipe, to create the actual box that the Shulker sits in. And it's just a decorative item and it can be dyed to the colour of your choice. Now as of yet on Pocket Edition, although we have the shell, we don't have the we have the shell, but we don't have the ability to craft it into the actual blocks yet, which seems really odd. I don't understand why they've added one but not the other. When we were on PC, they added just a Shulker to begin with no mob drops, and as soon as the shell fragments were added, we were instantly able to craft them. So I'm expecting very, very soon Mojang going to be adding in that box, and this is the recipe you'll need. So keep that one in the back of your memory because it's going to come up later on. So before we finish up with these brewing recipes, let's just take a quick look at each of the new mobs that have been added into Minecraft Pocket Edition. Firstly, let's take a look at the polar bear. This new mob surprisingly isn't hostile, at least not at first. The polar bear is actually neutral, so you'll only come under attack from it if you aggravate the bear first. Polar bears spawn only in snowy covered biomes and drop fish upon death. There's an 80% chance of regular fish and a 20% chance of salmon. You'll also notice that igloos have been added. These initially appear very innocent, yet dig a little deeper and you'll find there's a secret dungeon. Onto the smallest mob in Minecraft, the Endermite. These tiny foes spawn after 5% of enderpearl throws. meaning they're only spawned by the player. They have 8 HP and do very little damage, so they should be easily dispatched. In sharp contrast, the Ender Dragon is the largest mob in the game, with an impressive 200 HP and the ability to spit toxic dragon breath. A battle with the dragon should be well prepared for. Make sure you have high quality armour, diamond if possible, or failing that, enchanted iron. A powerful bow is a must have, so make sure this is your priority. While a sharp sword is also advised, this isn't as important. To beat the dragon, you'll need to destroy the many end crystals that regenerate the dragon's health. While bow shots will suffice for most, a small number of crystals will be encased in iron bars. The Shulker is exclusive to End City generator structures. These large towers spawn only in the depths of the End Dimension. This region can only be accessed once the dragon has been defeated. After the battle, a small portal will open in the sky. You can enter the portal by using an Ender Pearl. You have to throw it into the gap to reach the island region. Finding an End City from here is very difficult, so I'll have a detailed strategy linked in the description and at the end of this video. Once you find the End City, you'll encounter the Shulkers. These mobs are capable of levitating the player if you're hit by their projectiles, so avoid them at all costs. Unfortunately, levitating isn't as fun as it sounds, as the fall damage can be rather deadly. The only way you can destroy a Shulker is by hitting it when it's out of its shell. Scaling the End City towers can be very difficult, but the payoff is well worth the effort. Many of the chests contain lucrative enchanted items, and if you're lucky enough to have an End ship docking at your End City, you'll find the Elytra and possibly even a dragon head, yet these are pretty rare. Okay, so to finish off, we just have a couple more features that we're going to take a look at, and this is actually a little chest here of uncraftable items. Now, this is really important, just as important really as the items that we've looked at that are craftable, because you need to know that these are not. That's important because there are a lot of fake videos out there online telling you that you can craft these, but you cannot. I guarantee you there is no crafting recipe for the dragon egg. To get the dragon egg, which is up there, you need to kill the Ender Dragon. It will appear above the fountain as so, and you'll actually need to collect it using having it drop onto a torch or something like that. So you'd hit it once and it teleports away, then put a torch under it, let it fall like an anvil, and you'll actually be able to collect it and use it as a trophy. But it's important to note there is no crafting recipe. The Elytra, as we saw at the End City, is only found there. There is no recipe for it, but it's a really good feature. You can literally fly with it. The Dragon's Head is also found at the End Cities and again is not craftable. Now in theory, if mods were implemented, or if a future update came out adding a recipe, then there would be an ability to craft these. But for now, there is no way. So make sure you don't get tricked into thinking you can craft them, because there is 100% no way to craft them. Now let's look finally at some brewing potions. Now there are a couple new ones here. We actually have the new Lingering Potion. Now a Lingering Potion is a potion which, when thrown upon the ground, actually just stays in the area and affects anyone that enters the aura of the potion. So let's use this one as an example. We'll chuck it down over here just so I don't get affected by it. If anyone were to step into that, they would receive the Harming Potion effect to whichever level you'd brew the potion at. Now, this is really good in PvP. If you want to heal all your teammates really quick, you chuck one of these down, a healing potion, everyone gets in, everyone receives the rewards. Also, if you're battling with some foes, you want to throw one of these down, you can catch a number of enemies into one potion effect. Now the way you brew these is by first brewing up a splash potion, which I'm sure you already know how to do. Just get your regular potion, put it over some gunpowder, and you get the splash. But if you want to make a lingering potion, you need to get Dragon's Breath, which I have a separate video on how to get because it's a little bit complicated. You then put that over the instant harming, or whichever potion it is, the splash potion, and that will turn it into a lingering potion. The Dragon's Breath in a nutshell is what the dragon itself spews out when it attacks you. You need to scoop it up using an empty bottle. It sounds easy, but it's actually a little bit harder to do than you think because it's very damaging to you. If you actually stay in the Dragon's Breath while it's on the floor, you take a lot of damage, so do check that one out if you want some help with that. So they are all our recipes. We've had a good look at the new mobs, the new features, the new generated structures. I hope this has been a very useful video for you. If it has, do take just 1 second to hit the like button below, and thanks for watching.